Let me share my screen with you. What I'm going to start with is I've got a test course in Sakai, and I'm going to start by showing you how to add the tests and quizzes tool in Sakai if you've not done that before, and then we'll go into actually creating the tests and quizzes themselves. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so this is just a typical sort of empty-ish looking Sakai course. And you'll notice that over here on the left-hand side, there is no test and quizzes tool because I wanted to show you exactly how you would add that if you don't have that added by default. So the way you do that, if you have not done so, is to go into the site info tool and select manage tools. And then you have a list of all sorts of tools, and you will just look for tests and quizzes. Click on that, go to the bottom, hit continue. It'll verify that you want to add tests or quizzes, and you say finish, and voila, it is now over on the left-hand side, tests and quizzes. So that was just a quick, easy how to add tools in Sakai. Bonus content. So now that we've done that, if you go into tests and quizzes, what you'll see is basically a list of assessments that you may have already created. If you haven't created any, then it'll be blank, obviously. But what I want to do is just jump right into the process of showing you how to create a quiz from scratch. Using what they call the assessment builder. So we're going to go ahead and click add, which is the button right up here. It doesn't look like a button, but it is. Click that and it will take you into the create from scratch tool. So what you're going to do is you type in the name of the test. We'll call this, let's call this Wednesday's test. And you have two options. You can create it using the assessment builder, and you can create using markup text. We're going to do the assessment builder right now, and then I'll go back and show you the neat trick that you can use to do markup text, which I'll explain a bit more about in a second. So I'm going to say create using assessment builder and select create, and then it pops you right in and expects you to start adding questions. So there are a number of different types of questions that you can create in Sakai, and I'll open up this drop-down menu and just show you those. Obviously, the most common ones that you think about are like multiple choice, true, false, short answer, fill in the blank, things like that. Those are all available in here. And there are some more complicated questions too. Let's go ahead and start with one of the boilerplate question types. And we can do, like, for example, a multiple choice question. So what you do is you just say, I would like to create a multiple choice question. The first thing it asks you is for the point value for the question. And you can put that in there as 1 point, 2 points, whatever you think is appropriate for your test. The question below asks you if you want students to be able to see how many points the question is worth while they're taking the exam. That's a choice that's up to you. I don't know why you wouldn't, but you could choose not to if you wanted to. Then for a multiple choice question, one of the next questions it asks you is, does this question have one correct answer, or does it have multiple correct answers? So you make that selection here. Single selection and multiple selection basically gives you an opportunity to have multiple correct answers available for students, and they have to select either all of them to get the right answer, to get full credit, or they select some of them and get partial credit. So a little bit confusing, but that's the whole point of the multiple correct answer section. So let's say, for example, I'm going to put in a question. The first thing it asks me for is the question text, obviously. So what it basically gives you is a pretty boring little box just to type your question in here. So I can say, I'm going to do a simple question. Which word has 4 letters? So I can type. So that's pretty basic. If you just want to put the question in, that's fantastic. You also have this ability up here. You see where it says show all rich text editors. If you click that, what it's going to do is it's going to open up sort of like the Word toolbar kind of thing, or the web toolbar that you're used to seeing for editing questions, things like that. So you get a little bit more expansive options. So if you wanted to make the question big and bold, you could do that by opening up this tool. But once you do that, it does it for every single box on the page, which is a little bit, maybe a little strange, but if you choose to use that option, just be aware that's what it'll do for you. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it in there. Which word has 4 letters? So the next thing it asks you for is correct answer and some distractor answers. So what you need to do is select, you just type into each of these correct answer sections, or sorry, answer sections, one of the choices. So in this case, I'll put bug. That's obviously not the correct answer, so I'm not going to select the little circle box here for the correct answer. The next one will make rabbit. The third one will make leaf. And that is the correct answer because it has 4 letters. So I'm going to select the correct answer radio button here to indicate to Sakai that that is the answer we're looking for. And then I'll put a fourth distractor. So grass. Definitely keeping an outdoor theme here today, I think. If you want to put more than 3 distractor answers, and you want to have additional answer possibilities, you have that option here by insert additional answers. You just select how many more potential answers you want Sakai to offer, and it will add those boxes in for you. The next question asks you if you want those answers to be randomized, which is kind of nice. So it might be an anti-cheating opportunity for you there. So if students are going to say, oh, here's my answers to the multiple choice question that I had in test today. I had A, C, B, D for my 4 questions. If you do randomize the answers, then it's basically going to put a different, put the answers in a different order while keeping obviously the correct answer available. So that's kind of a nice option if you want to try to curb a little bit of the option for cheating. Require rationale is an interesting option. It's if you select yes, then when a student selects an answer, it leaves a space for them to type why they selected that answer. Obviously, it can't, Sakai, the system cannot grade that rationale. It'll grade the correct answer for you, and then you can go in and read the rationale and perhaps give back some partial credit if the rationale is good but the answer is wrong. So again, that's an option for you, but that's what require rationale can do. A couple of different things in here that are kind of useful. Assigned to parts is just a way to break the test up into little sections. So if you were going to have a very long quiz, you might want to break it up into several parts. So if this question was intended to go into one of those parts, you would select that here. Another option is if you have created what they call a question pool in Sakai, which is on that main tests and quizzes page, then what it will do is it will save the questions and you can use them across multiple assessments, which is kind of a nice feature. So if you've set that up and you think you might want to use the question again, either in a final exam for the same course or in a future course, you can copy question pools from course to course. So if you teach the same section in the future and you don't want to have to retype all the questions, you can save those questions to a question pool here. So if you, as you type the question in, you say, yeah, I want it to go into my question pool or my chapter 1 question pool, whatever you've preset up. So it's kind of a nice feature so that you don't have to do the same thing over and over and over again, which is the definition of madness, right? So, okay, moving on, there is an option at the very bottom here which allows you to give immediate feedback to a student who puts the answer incorrectly or incorrectly. So in other words, if I type in here, yes, that's great, which is pretty banal, but it's it gives them immediate feedback to know that they got the answer correct. Or I could say, no, sorry, the answer was leaf as incorrect answer feedback. And I'll show you in a little bit. When they get that feedback is a choice you can make as well. I said immediate, but it's not immediate unless you choose for it to be. You can tell the system when you want students to be able to see what their answers were, what they got correct, and any feedback that you provide. You can set that later, and I'll show you that in the settings section in just a little bit. So, all right. So that is kind of a basic setup for a multiple choice question. Pretty simple. And now you see it comes across looking as you would expect. Which word has 4 letters? You see the distractor answers and the correct answer marked here. So, and it also shows the feedback that I decided to put in there as well. So, okay, so let me show you 1 or 2 more question types, just because I think these are probably the most common ones that you end up doing. Let's do a, let me show you, you'll see too, add question above and below. It doesn't matter which one you choose. So let's do a fill in the blank. This has an interesting little quirky thing to it, but it's also sort of useful. So some of the same questions here. Assign a point value, we're gonna make it 1 point. Display the point value while the student is taking the exam. Yes, I'm gonna leave that in there. And it gives you a nice hint here that when you're doing a fill in the blank, you put curly brackets around the word that you're expecting students to fill in, and it will leave a blank in its place. So for example, if I put in, someone left and the answer is cake out in the rain, then when I go ahead and create that question, it's going to show to the student as someone left the blank out in the rain and ask them to put what they think is the correct answer in. So a couple of options down at the bottom. One of them is case sensitive. If you want them to capitalize a proper name and they don't capitalize a proper name and you don't want them to get credit for that, then this is where you select that. You have the option to do multiple blanks in a question, and what it's asking you here with mutually exclusive is, do you want them to have both answers correct in order to get full credit for the question? And then you can also choose to have it ignore spaces, which is more useful for the kind of example that they're giving you here, which is where students are giving a mathematical sort of response. So in other words, if they do 2 space times sign, is it the same as 2 times sign without spaces? Yes, probably. It's up to you to make that choice though. So, okay, and then down below you've got the same sort of options that you had before. You can add it to a part, you can add it to a question pool, you can provide feedback, but I'm gonna go ahead and save the question. And now when we go back into the assessment, you can see that it is now asking or showing the question as someone left the blank out in the rain, and shows that the correct answer is cake. So kind of an easy, kind of a nice thing to do. Let's see. Is there one more? Oh yes, I wanted to show you quickly short answer essay. The most important thing to remember about this one in particular, I think, is that because it's a short answer or an essay question, Sakai can't auto-grade this. The other 2 types that I just showed you, multiple choice and fill in the blank, Sakai will make an attempt to tell the student or tell you whether or not the student got the answer right based on the student's response. But for a short answer or for an essay, obviously you have to go in, read it, and place a grade in yourself. So let's say, for example, in this case, we're going to ask a short answer question, and it's a short answer, so it's going to be worth 5 points instead of 1 point. Then we just basically ask what we want. So I'll say maybe describe the process of sublimation. And basically what students are going to get is a big box just like this, where they have to describe the process of sublimation and submit that to you. And when you go into grading, you'll see the student's answer, and you'll have an opportunity to assign the number of points that you think the answer deserves. That makes sense. Okay. One thing that's a little bit different in here, in addition to providing feedback, you also have the option to provide a model answer, which is kind of interesting because you don't see that in some of the other question types. But you can go in there and you can tell a student, you know, for example, if you were asking a question like, yeah, describe the process of sublimation, you might provide a different question and say, if I were asking for you to describe the process of evaporation, here is the answer that I would give. So make your answer about sublimation match this question or this model answer as much as you can in order to get full credit. So that's kind of a nice feature to have if you want to be able to model answers for students. So I'm going to go ahead and save that one. And now you see it just basically shows up on my quiz as just a question. Describe the process of sublimation with no correct answer listed, obviously, because there's not one in this case. So, all right. So that was 3 basic question types and showing you how to create those inside the assessment builder. Pretty cut and dry.